Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. As always, I am your host. And this is Thursday. It's almost the weekend. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to TGI Friday. But to ease your comfort into the new weekend, I'm here to deliver the best sports stories from all around the world. And of course, I have with me to help dissect all of that and analyze for you, Victor Godfrey. Victor?
Thank you so much for having me, Mukai. It's always a pleasure to be here on Plus Sports. So yeah, let's go.
Well, all right. We'll start in Nigeria. The Flying Eagles took the lead twice in Wednesday's tie, but were pegged back by Burkina Faso's tenacious junior etalons. The Nigeria under-20 team has qualified for the semi-finals of the ongoing WAFU B under-20 championship in Niamey, despite being held to a 2-2 draw by the junior etalons of Burkina Faso on Wednesday at the Stade General Seyna Kouché. The Flying Eagles advanced to the semi-finals. The side, coached by Ladan Boso, took the lead twice in Wednesday's match, but were pegged back by the tenacious junior etalons. Now, while the Nigeria under-20s are guaranteed a place in the semi-finals, Burkina Faso, on the other hand, now need to avoid defeat against Ghana this weekend to progress. I would say we were fortunate, don't you think, Victor? Just managing a draw. The fact that we could not beat them is still indicative that there's still a lot of work for Bosso to do with this team if we're going to win the competition.
Well, to the credit of the boys, they actually did well in their very first match. They defeated Ghana by 3-0. The thing about age group competition is that there's always, you have to have that room for errors because they're young lads who are under the age of 20 and they'll make those mistakes. So it's from competitions like this that you learn and perfect your crafts. Then when you go for like the African competitions for the under 20 or you go for the World Cup for the under 20, now you become very, very good at what you do. So it's okay to have these errors and mistakes. Quite frankly, I'm surprised, but they've surpassed the expectations I had. The last time we under 20 competition, it was an absolute disaster. The last time we played this competition in 2019 was an absolute disaster. We didn't win a single game. So qualifying for this is a massive improvement from our last appearance. So yes, it was a draw, 2-2 draw. They would have done better, but I strongly believe they have what it takes. Maybe give a steady performance in the final. At least make it to the final. Get past the semi-final stage and make it to the final.
Well, on paper, for those who are uninitiated, how strong an opponent were the Burkina Faso junior etalons, truly?
So now in African football, we know that teams from sub-Saharan Africa are very, very good. From Western Africa are very, very good. Don't forget that Burkina Faso has a very good history, senior level. I mean, the last time we won the Nations Cup, we played against them in the final. So I'm not too surprised. But again, in under 20 competitions, it's not really about how strong teams are in terms of traditional football. We've seen in the past teams that are not very, very good in senior level do well in under 17 competitions. The example is Nigeria. We've won more under 17 World Cups than any country in the world, but we don't do well at major tournaments at senior level. So it doesn't really matter. With these age group competitions, it really doesn't matter what is on paper. Like I said, I'm not too surprised.
It's
based on everything. Ghana could have been here, but we beat them 3-0. Like that was an upset actually. We beat a team that were favored to beat us. They have more better players in Ghanaian under 20 team than we have in the Flying Eagles. So it just tells you so much.
All right. While it's always good to take the good when we have it, we must also be ready to take the bad. Our eyes are wide open now, and I was discussing this particular issue with Wale earlier in the week. The fact is, a lot of these young supposed under 20 Nigerian players tend to be much older than they are on paper. And oftentimes that ends up catching up to them earlier than we anticipate, because the age that they've given us certainly doesn't reflect the performances we get from them when they are supposedly 25. Now, if that is the case, do we need to take any successes going forward from our under-20s, our under-17s? Do we need to take a caveat from any successes they have, because there might just be an asterisk to a lot of those players?
Well, with all honesty, I agree with that sentiment. Although we haven't been able to prove this allegation, but allegedly we are aware that some of our players are not actually under 20 or under 17 or under 23 like they claim to be. But to an extent, we've also had successes in these areas. For instance, because Sime was a product of the age group competitions. He was with the under 17 national team. In fact, the last time we won it, because Sime was there, top scorer. Nacho as well was part of that generation. Yeah, we've had a few players in the past who just withered away. An example is Taita, who had so much promise to be one of the best left backs in the world, but unfortunately that didn't work out for him. When he was supposed to be in his prime, he was now showing decline in terms of age. So yes, we like you mentioned, the asterisk is going to be there, but what we can do as a nation, as a federation, in terms of the football heads we have, leaders in our football administration, what they can do is to ensure that we do have these proper players who are under the age bracket they claim to be, under. For instance, we had the under 15 MPFL tournament just a few weeks ago. That is a good initiative. That we need to start getting them from that point on, under 15, all up into under 17, all up into under 20. England did something that is a formula that is working for them. They won under 17 and the under 20 World Cup, the last ones they had, because they decided to work on the academy. Of course, the English football clubs, big clubs in the Premier League have massive academies, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc. And they decided to create, they have the FA Youth League that just even wrapped up yesterday night that United won. So they have given youth a chance, but they wanted to bring out players from England to represent them and give them that chance. The likes of Jadon Sancho, Tammy Abraham, and the rest of them all played in the under 20, holding the Open under 20 World Cup. And you can see the progression, you see how they are becoming top level players. So if you can do the same in Nigeria, you will see there will be a progression. And like I said, because Sime is an example, was a young striker under 17, now he's the top man when it comes to striking in Nigeria. In the Super Eagles, the main number 9 striker we have right now. So yes, we can work with that, but we can learn from the mistakes of the past. For instance, many people wouldn't even know this. Samson Siasia and Luis Figo and even Roberto Carlos played in the same under 20 World Cup in 1990. Oh, sorry, 1991, my bad. And then, as time went on, clearly Figo had a longer career than Samson Siasia. Same with Roberto Carlos. But people don't even realize that they actually played in the same competition back then. So you have to put this into perspective and say, okay, these are players. We have players like Chrysanthus Macaulay in 2009 under 17, top scorer with the likes of Toni Kroos in terms of the players of the tournament of that competition. We won the under 17 World Cup that year, but Chrysanthus Macaulay is nowhere to be found. He had the golden generation of the under 20s in 2005. Most of those players didn't even live up to the potential that they had, apart from maybe a Mikel Obi or a Taita to an extent. The likes of Isaac Okonkwo and Promise, Ambrose Banzeki, many players that we had in that team didn't even live up to the expectation because of this potential age issues. So I think we need to put that into perspective and ensure that our federation gives the younger generation a chance to really flourish in those under-20 competitions.
All right. A lot of structural changes that need to go forward in order to ensure the necessary transparency that we need to guarantee that all of these supposed under-20, supposed under-17 players are really who they claim to be. Now, you and I haven't spoken about this story yet, but it's been the biggest transfer news this week. Manchester City fans at their game with Wolves on Wednesday were enthusiastic about the arrival of Erling Haaland next season. Most feel that their team have missed playing with a traditional centre-forward, despite their side's impressive campaign that sees them in pole position to win the Premier League. City confirmed their move for the Norwegian on Tuesday, with Haaland having interested most of Europe's top sides with his prolific goal scoring for Borussia Dortmund. Now, obviously, you cannot deny the numbers. The player is worth all the hype. He's that good. And certainly Man City fans definitely recognize the value of what they've just acquired. However, how big of an impact is he going to have on the Premier League? How big an impact is he going to have on the tactical setup of Manchester City under Pep Guardiola? Victor?
Well, I remember a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, when I was on the show and you asked me my thoughts on if Haaland would go to City, what would be the case, what will happen, or what will be the fate of the rest of the team. And I told you it would be game over. Like, there's no point even having a football season. If you just give Man City the trophy again next season. I still stand by that sentiment. It is, I think it's quite unfair, to be honest. To every other team right now in England, it's just not even fair at all. It's ridiculous how City have been able to get that man. He is, in my own opinion, one of the best signings I've seen in a very long time, because he managed to get a young striker, 21 years old. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, has an eye for goal. Now he's under one of the best managers in the history of football with Pep Guardiola. He has one of the best midfield or attacking options with the likes of Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, Silva. I mean, it is just quite unfair, to be honest. Like, if City doesn't win Champions League next year, or even the Premier League next year, they should sack Guardiola, because there's anymore.
You're definitely right about him having a lot of tools at his disposal for such a young player, and he's already so much more mature with his ability to get into positions and deliver goals. However, last season Chelsea came very close to buying him. A report came out yesterday that said that one of the reasons that they chose to pull back, aside from obviously the finances, the heavy finances that we know Man City have had to outlay, and Chelsea would have had to do the same, especially given that his agent, Riola, was still alive at the time. One of the reasons was that the scouts had a question, a concern about whether he could thrive in the English Premier League, mostly because the tactical setup in Germany is of high pressing, high defensive lines, and plenty of space in behind the defense for a player of his skill, his speed, to run behind them. And the defenders don't close you down quite as quickly as they do in the Premier League. So he has a lot of options to run towards players, to dribble, and then to bully them off the ball. Obviously, in the Premier League, he's going to come up against a lot of big defenders who are not going to give him a lot of space, who are possibly going to force him to have to play with his back to goal a lot of times and leave no spaces behind him to run for, to receive the ball, especially when you're playing against the likes of lower teams, who are the likes of Brentford, the likes of Wolves, who are going to want to keep their defense tight and structured. How well is he going to thrive against such defenses? And have Chelsea made a big error, a big miscalculation?
Okay, so I want to start with the transfer rumors before he signed for City. Obviously, it was Manchester United before he signed for Dortmund. They were trying to use the sentiments of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, giving him a chance with his Norwegian club at the time. That didn't work out. Obviously, yes, Chelsea had rumblings of signing him. For the two clubs that missed out on Haaland, massive misses. Secondly, I'm going to give you two strikers that thrived in the Premier League who came from leagues whereby they were not so physical. A guy called Wood Van Nistelrooy for Manchester United and a guy called Didier Drogba. He played in France. The former played in the Netherlands in the Eredivisie. And they were not very physical in those leagues. However, Drogba came in and had a fantastic career. Same with Van Nistelrooy, who is even not as big as Haaland in terms of his physique. Now, Haaland is a big guy. He's massive. He's a big, strong striker. Old school build of a striker like Chiellini, very big and strong and fast. Now, you mentioned something about players, teams defending in a low block, like, just packing the bus in terms of Mourinho.
Yes.
But we've seen that Man City can break even a bus down. They can break a trailer down. We've seen them dissect teams in the past. And sometimes what has been their bane has just been poor finishing. With all due respect to Raheem Sterling, his goal conversion rate is very, very low. You see him on an estimate and just blast over the bar.
But Victor,
in a player like Haaland,
Victor, in that regard, regarding Man City's ability to break down low blocks, the fact is, a lot of the times, they thrive on having a striker who is more mobile than the traditional number 9. False number 9s have been their bread and butter this season. So when you have a traditional number 9 who is expected to be the focal point, doesn't that limit your ability to be dynamic when you're trying to break down a low block?
So here's the thing. Under Pep Guardiola, Bayern Munich had a similar situation. They had one of the best strikers. They still have one of the best strikers in the world. Robert Lewandowski was there under Pep. And they didn't struggle. He scored lots of goals. So yes, I can understand that historically speaking, especially at Barca, Pep usually have issues with traditional number 9 strikers. I mean, Ibrahimovic had an issue with him. Thierry Henry, to an extent, might not admit it, also had an issue with him in their time at Barca. But I strongly believe that he has evolved to the point whereby, yes, you need that false 9 to leave that space, to leave defenders confused. But I still believe that, Haaland is very young, 21 years old or 22 at this point. He will learn, he will get better. I saw a Champions League picture, I don't know if you remember that, against City, I think last season or so, yes, where he was on a foot race with Laporta, and they came shoulder to shoulder, and he just shrugged him up like he was nobody. And Laporta is a big defender, about 6'3", very massive defender, and Haaland just pushed him aside like he was nobody. So how big? How physicality? I am sure he would adjust. Yeah, maybe.
Man City's biggest rivals in the league are Liverpool. How well do you think he's going to be able to pull such against Van Dijk?
Well, that will be something to look forward to next season. As you know, Virgil van Dijk is being touted as one of the best defenders, even one of the best defender in the world right now. But one thing that you can criticize with Virgil van Dijk that perhaps maybe question his claim to that throne is because unlike defenders from the past, like the Maldinis, the Stamps, the Ferdinand, the Resi, Vidic, so on and so forth, he hasn't had a very good striking rivalry. You know, Maldini had it Ronaldo in Serie A, so you could tell, okay, he had his work cut out for him. Same with the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand. They had Torres, they had Drogba. But Van Dijk has nobody. There's no striker that's really giving him a run for his money. So I'm looking forward to this rivalry. So yes, I feel it to be a battle between City and Liverpool, especially when they play, and Haaland and Van Dijk starts those matches to be one of those, to be like what they call a clash of titans, to be massive. And I think that, I don't know, it's something we'll have to watch and see. I can't really say from now. I'm really excited for that prospect.
All right, Victor. On to a legend of the game, a legendary defender. Veteran defender Giorgio Chiellini confirmed he will leave Juventus at the end of the season. The 37-year-old, who is third on Juventus' all-time appearances list, behind Alessandro Del Piero and Gianluigi Buffon, made the announcement after his side lost 4-2 to Inter Milan in Wednesday's May 11 Coppa Italia final. Chiellini joined Juve in 2004 from Livorno, going on to win 9 league titles and 5 Italian Cups during his time in Turin. He announced his retirement from international football last month, but does not appear to be hanging up his boots just yet, with reports in the Italian media linking him with a move to the United States for one last hurrah. Now, obviously, Victor, we're going to miss watching this player in Europe if the rumors are true that he's going to the United States. And if, in fact, it does end up as a retirement story, it will be one of the greatest defenders in the world's history, don't you think?
Some Italian defenders are actually underrated because of how successful or how good they are at their job. You just don't even realize how impact they have. For instance, he just won the Euros with Italy at a very, very old age in terms of football. And there are two images that we will remember him by more than anything else. Minus his experts on the pitch, which you cannot put a price on. He was famously beaten by Luis Suarez 2014 at the World Cup. And also, there's an image of him pulling back Bukayo Saka at the Euro finals against England just last summer. So
yes.
those images will always stay in the minds of football fans. However, in terms of his performance, I mean, Chiellini is one of those guys that he's a throwback defender. I just spoke about Berisi and Maldini. Those are the guys that they are stalwarts. You're not worried at the back in terms of experience, instead of holding your shape in the high line, keeping the offside trap, talking to the goalkeeper, speaking to fullbacks. I mean, these guys, they'll tell you, don't worry, you won't concede the goal today. That's the kind of defenders, and we are missing this type of defenders in world football. We'll definitely miss him.
True
I wish
that.
more in the US. It's good for the MLS, but like you said, we're going to miss him in European football, especially for the national team.
All right.
For the Italian.
Thank you, Victor. You're definitely right about that. Always a pleasure having you discuss these stories with us.
Same here, Mukai. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful day. And to everyone at home or at work, wherever you're watching us, I know you have many options, but you choose to watch us on Plus Sports on PlusTvAfrica. Thank you for your viewership. My name is Mukai Tinubu. As always, I'd like to remind you, life is never boring with some sports. Have a wonderful day.